the fume extractor on. Hopefully you guys can still hear me over there. So my board's a bit old and dirty. We got any live people out there, or am I just talking into the void? Not that it matters anyway, I'll have to build this. I have definitely left this board far too long sitting in moisture or not a very perfect environment. And as a consequence, it's not picking up the solder so well. So that's going to be a pain. Come on. That's going to be a major pain. Annex, hey, oh, geez, I'm not saying your name, Big Joe. Let me see what I can do about the audio. It's coming off the headset. I haven't used this before, so just give me a bit. Audio and properties. Cancel. Filters. Gain. Is that any better? That's strange. The gain doesn't seem to work on this. Can you hear anything I'm saying? It's so low. I wonder what's going on. I might try to switch to something else. Just give me a second. Yeah, I'm just going to put in a. just going to use this device and plug my headset into that. But I've run out of ports on my on the computer. So you'll lose me for a couple of seconds here. Okay, is that any better? I'm wondering if it's not capturing what through the right device. Let's see. Let's remove that one. Is this any better? Alright, yeah, you'll have to forgive me. I'm just stuffing around with things. I'm going to give you 30 seconds because I think maybe I lost it again. Getting trolled again, yeah. Gain, okay. Close. We're back. What the hell's going on here? Okay, this is test number 3. Is 3 okay? 7 out of 100. Yeah, damn right. I don't even know what's going on here. The microphone's good. Oh, bloody hell. Come on. I can see that it's barely picking up, which is really strange because normally it's very good. Normally it's very good. So I'm not sure what's going on. Properties. Yeah. If you can, we'll keep working on this until we get it right, and then I'll lock it in. Okay, this is a ridiculous amount of gain. It should not be this bad. What the flip's going on? Try again. Mic, desktop audio. Bloody hell. Oh, here we go. Maybe I should try the mixer. Let's see. Audio. Okay, no. Let's try 150. Is that any better? The trouble is, I don't know where it's applying the gain. If I go onto the microphone, I've got like 12 dB gain, which should be blasting your ears off. And then I've gone into the audio properties now and set the volume to 150%. It's still not really. And Try down mix to mono. Panning. At least I know where I can get the synchronization offset now. I'm just going to try 150 on all of them. Okay. Heavy on full still to flipped sake. It was fine the other week. Okay, 3.5 dBs gain. Sorry about this, I know this isn't really exactly what you came in here for. Properties. See, I would take it off the webcam, except for the fact that the webcam's right next to the air filter, and so as soon as I start running that air filter, I'll really be blocked out. Plus, I'm having troubles with that. Let's see, order filters. I have no idea why the filters aren't working. I blame Lewis Rossman. Close. Flip. Oh no, I'll enable mic boost. Yeah, I don't have that option, unfortunately. What I might do is I'll go into Pulse Audio and try that. So, PU, yeah. I'm just installing the toolset to let me modify things. Input devices, microphone. Oh, 8 dB down. The hell? This isn't better. How about now? Okay, I'm probably... Let's see who starts screaming now, because looks like I'm maxing out. There isn't a volume control on my headset, no. There's only an earpiece. Yes, it is on Linux. It's interesting that... Oh, now that's picking up the wrong thing. Sorry. I have got 3 different things here recording. Here we go, this might help. Okay, is this any better? It looks like it is. Well, I'm peeking out. Okay. I just took out the gain filter that was in the Open Broadcaster. Flippin' heck, what a pain in the butt. It wasn't the gain filter, it was... The trouble was that the Pulse Audio had the microphone jammed way down at like -8 dB, so yeah, God only knows. So hopefully that's tolerable for you all, and hopefully I don't peak out too much. I might just back it off a little teeny bit because I can see it's maxing a little bit. So this should be a little more tolerable. I have no idea why that was at such crazy levels. Oh well. Anyway, yeah, the problem is, see, I'm actually running this off a USB stick. So it's just a 16 gigabyte Ubuntu USB stick on my Lenovo E550 machine. It's it's just a serious hack job at the moment. Now, the reason why I'm running it over with this fiberglass brush is because I've had these boards sitting in storage for about 3 years, and so as a consequence there's a nice oxidation layer all over the pads and nothing wants to stick. I do need to get a quieter fume extractor. Paul gets trolled on Livestream by computer software again. Yeah, it's pretty bad, right, man. This is what happens when you set things up at close to midnight, and yeah, you're just stumbling along for the hell of it. I miss being able to see clearly. I want my good old eyesight back. Oh well, probably won't get that. I can't really get the board in any closer at the moment. Okay, what I'm building here is the power board for my low ohms meter. It's a commercial device I designed and produced a long time ago, and I wanted to use it for doing tracking down of short circuits on the boards. But when I went to use the one that I thought was okay, it died. And when I opened it up, I realized why. It was a revision 7, and I'm up to revision 15 on this. So I'll just go get it for you. This is the device. I'm not yet used to cameras. Which way? There we go. So it uses a 4-wire Kelvin system here for the probes, and just displays on the screen what the milliohms is, and on the back it's got a serial port to go to the PC. And fortunately, because I designed it, I know what the protocol is. Big power supply fan as a fume extractor. Yes, well, let me show you this one. There we go. This is my current device. It's a 12 volt 1 amp 120 millimeter fan, and it's going through a carbonized car interior filter. The things you stoop down to just so you can get by for the short term. Alright. Okay, so I need to get this thing built. Where's my damn flux? So this isn't really as fancy as, say, what Lewis or Jason does, but I'm referring to Jason of STS, by the way. I don't really see a lot of what Lewis's Jason does, other than that nice hard drive video he did a while ago. In the early days, I used to always build my boards like this before I switched over to pick and place with hot reflow, reflow ovens. Dear God, I used to be able to see 0603 perfectly easy. Now I'm just assuming what I'm doing. Not good. Yeah, I've seen his basics channel. I saw he got going with that, and I think maybe he just found that he was too busy with everything going on, particularly with his data recovery stuff now. I imagine that keeps him very occupied. I'm just marking off all the devices as I install them, and then I've got to make sure that I haven't um, accidentally substituted values, because sometimes when let's see, I'll just show you what I'm working off. So I print these out from Eagle PCB, and sometimes when I'm designing them I have in mind a value that I'm meant to be using, but I don't update it on the file because I think it's okay, I know what I'm doing. And then of course 4 years later I don't know what I'm doing, as in I can't remember, and that's when I will probably install the wrong thing and go, why doesn't it work? Okay, where are my 338s? 337 FDN 338. What? See, already I'm confused with my design choices. And no wonder they're P channels. Which means I have to find... Nope. I have to go into the other room to get my MOSFET box. That's okay. Is there anything I can do here? Let's have a look. Nope. 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 I got too many filthy tantalum caps here. Oh well. I'm really not a big fan of using tantalums, but I've got a lot of stock of them. Oh, I can't use that one. That's a 10 volt. This is how all the trouble started. When I originally designed this, I was only planning on a 9 volt. Oh, that's just not even close to big enough. I have to leave that one for a while too. Yeah, I was planning on using 9 volt adapters, but of course in the end that was pretty pointless, and everything I picked up was 12 volt adapter. Yes, tantrum caps, that's exactly right. I mean, if they're used properly, within constraints and all that sort of thing, they're perfectly good, and they're very advantageous because you get an impressive amount of capacitance in a small area. But the trouble is, they really do chuck a fit if anything is slightly wrong. And they stink, and they usually let out a very pretty purple flash of light when things go wrong. And they're certainly quite toxic. Let's see, we're going to ground there, yes. More than anything, it's the... Oh, flash there. It's the extreme toxicity of them that bothers me. And trying to get tantalum out of the ground in terms of mining is not a very... It's not a very human or environment friendly process. Do not listen to music. Yes, I don't listen to music, mostly because there's a lot of things I want to listen out for going on around the house, and I must admit I'm a little bit paranoid about things here in this area, and as such I prefer to have my ears, given that I can't hear properly in the first place, I prefer to be able to hear as much as possible. My God, man, it's... Oh, well, I've worked out a way I can get around something. This is why having multiple pads for multiple parts is very useful. So I'm meant to put a 10 microfarad or so here, but I've also got an allocation here for a 1 microfarad, but in its place I'm just going to put a 10. And it's a 10 microfarad, 16 volts, so I'm perfectly okay to do that. Here's a nice thing about being the designer, is that you get to know what you can and can't do. The other problem with not having with music is, of course, that if YouTube hears it, they will give you a strike. And I've already had one run-in with YouTube the other day, and I didn't enjoy it. Like metal. Is that because I'm wearing all black or something? You probably wouldn't believe me if I told you the kind of music I really like. But I'm very much a person who enjoys classical things, also like Enya, Celtic stuff like Lorena McKennitt. But at the same time, I enjoy trying to think, Evanescence. I enjoy that, listen to her. So I'm a little bit all over the place, perhaps stuck in the 80s and 90s music as well. For God's sake, this is not taking, because I might have to use the hot air on this. The main attraction for me, that's getting right in my face. We're gonna have to try the fume extractor. Try not to cut my fingers while I do this. Alright, so how's my voice over this fume extractor? Is it tolerable? Because I like to kind of still preserve my lungs. I do need to make a better fume extractor. It's a project for another day. What have I got there? I need a 1/4 amp fuse there. Well, I don't have 1/4 amp, I've got 100 milliamps. And I know that's going to be fine because this whole thing only draws about 80 milliamps total. Hell, I'll even listen to K-pop occasionally, just for something different. That fuse is way too big for the pad, but I don't care. That fits. Come on. Let's see, marking off these things. You're done, you're done, you're done. You need to be another 10 in 1 combo. I need my regulator. Oh, come on. I should have I should have MCP 1702, but a 5 volt version. These are the 3.3s. And I just don't seem to have any. I should have. I should have a spool of about 100 of them somewhere. That's a 3 volt version. Crikey. They're definitely no good. 6 volt, that's no good. What are you, 3.3. I've got to have my 1702 somewhere around here. No, 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 no. Try the other box. We are watching Pick and Place Paul. Yeah, I wish. Ask what the circuit does and how does it work. Okay, well, Leslie, basically it's a. I'm just going to. It's a power management daughter board for the. What about this? Sorry, I'm just. Oh, this is a better fuse for what I was going to do. It's a power regulator board for the low ohms meter. It has two purposes. Its first purpose is that it supplies the 5 volts to the logic and the microcontroller and all that. Oh my god, something is gotten in here and yuck. It's like a left. I swear, I think Lewis's flux has been in here and just dripped everywhere. That's brilliant. Lovely. So yeah, the primary purpose, or the initial purpose, is that it's given the 5 volts for the circuitry, but then it also has a switchable fixed current supply. So instead of a fixed voltage output of the regulator, I limit it to, do I need a D117? Yes, I've got an LM1117, adjustable version. I've got a spool of about 500 down on the floor. Is the kits? No, this is a circuit I designed about 5 or 6 years ago. I'm starting to forget. Specifically for commercial production. And I produced a few of them, but at that point I started closing up that part of what I do. It just wasn't being profitable to commercially produce these items anymore in Australia, and I wasn't in the mood to start producing 500 of them over in China. So I closed up and moved over to back to boring old, well, I shouldn't say boring, back to PC repairs for a bit of a change again. And so as a consequence, I've got a workshop out the back that is full of reels of parts and circuit boards, all sorts of things from the commercial production work. And now I just sort of pick at it whenever I need something done. It's kind of like having my own electronics store, I guess. And except, of course, naturally when I need to find something for the boards, I can't find it. Oh, Amy, there is a right, I read better what you were saying. Yeah, let me show you. This is going to be upside down. Let me turn this around. Actually have a look at this. Alright. So any of you who are into electronics will recognize this sort of thing as a pretty standard linear regulator. So we've just got our reverse voltage protection. That's a switch jumper, a fuse, some input decoupling to stop the regulator from going into a bit of a tiz and oscillating, and the output decoupling as well, the good old classic indicator, and a test point. So that's for the input to the microcontroller and whatnot. And then this is the bit that the low ohms tester requires. And again, it's another linear regulator, but it's configured in a constant current mode. And in this case, I think I'm producing 25 milliamp, and then I can switch it to a different scale as well, just by using the P-channel MOSFETs to switch in and out those resistors in parallel. And of course, again, I've got a test enable facility here so that it isn't running constantly. So what happens is that it will send a constant current of roughly what I want through to a special resistor, a very high precision resistor that I've got. It's a 10 ohm 0.01% precision, and it's a special 4-wire resistor, and it's mounted in a TO220 package. Just trying to find it, because it's a damned expensive piece of a damned expensive component. I don't want to lose it. Where have I put it? The company Vishay makes them, or at least the ones I get, and they're about $70 each. No diode for bootstrapping, none required in this particular case, since it's all just the linear. And I mean, I know I could, but because we're dealing with such tiny currents, it doesn't come into play. And I mean, if I was doing for sort of like more protection, things like that, no, not in this case. Let me go. I've got to go find that that precision resistor, because otherwise I will lose my nut if I've lost that thing. I'll be back in a bit. Okay, I'm back. I found it in amongst a bunch of other stuff. So, some leftover old reels from the pick and place. I have to sort those out. Is this my main job or a hobby? A bit of both. So, okay, so this device here is a precision resistor, and yeah, so they're about $70 a piece, and what is it? Yeah, you can see there, 0.01% precision. So normally when you get this sort of equipment commercially, it goes through a whole bunch of calibration processes, or you have all the different calibrations facilities on it, and I wanted something that didn't require a lot of that sort of thing. So that's the way I've done it, is that I put the unknown current through the precision resistor in series with the unknown resistance, and then I measure what the various voltage drops are, and because I know proportionally, I already know the precision resistor value, and from that I can sort of cross multiply, and I end up with very easily getting the unknown resistance value out of it. The downside is that mathematically it tends to get a little bit sort of you lose your precision as you get to the extremes of the range, but that was a trade-off I was willing to take. Okay, g'day CryJ, nice to see you. And let's see, I thought he was building a low ohms meter circuit from the title. Leslie, I am building a low ohms precision meter. See, let me show you. No, that's no good. This here is upside down. I should set it up so I can show you. But that's the unit there as a whole. And you can see over here, this is, damn it Paul, hold it up so people can see it. Okay, this all here is where the precision resistors are, and I've got a few other trimming options, and I use a nice 24-bit linear 2-channel ADC. It's a delta sigma, I'm pretty sure, or dual slope, I can't remember. I get around about 6 samples per second at 24 bits, so I just let that run, and it does, realistically I end up with around about 18.5, 19 bits precision. You just cannot get true 24-bit precision on this sort of equipment. It's impossible. There's too much noise. What is the project I'm most proud of so far? That's a really good question. I mean, in a way, I'm sort of proud of this. This is the circuit board for the unit, and all this over here is a separate isolated circuit for the analog digital converter, and that's the ADC there, and all this gets isolated away from the noise of the digital electronics going around. And as you can see, it's also isolated on the bottom. And no, that is not a Peppy Nazi. What do you call it? I can't remember the Sigma. It's a logo of mine from many years ago. Another tablet. Which tablet did you rescue, Amy? How about series parallel resistor network to average out the values on cheaper components? Motorman, you could do that, and I actually, I'll get the board back. I was experimenting with that for a little bit, and let's see if this is going to focus. Should I be like, no, I was going to be like someone and tell it to focus your fact, but that's not going to happen. Anyway, over here there's all the different pads that I can use for using cheaper, like perhaps 1% or 0.1% resistors, but in the end, for what I was producing, the people were paying a pretty good amount of money for these things. It was simpler, easier, and far more consistent to just go with that $70 resistor and that be it. Yeah, milliohm meter. Well, it's almost it is a I get down to 0.1 microohm resolution on this. That's quite noisy at that. Yeah, I'm not getting much done here because apparently I like to talk. I've got to go find my the board view. Well, that's because, do you mean the software in general or the board view for this particular board? Because I don't have a board view for this board. Looks like I've got to add some more capacitors here. Great. And just the ones I'm out are the ones I want. I do have them around. The question is, where are they? I have not prepared properly for this, have I? Let's see. Oh, here we go. These are the ones I was after. I'll just pop a couple of these out. I think I need about 4 or 5, I can't be sure. 4 should do. And of course, with all surface mount stuff, you really shouldn't take it out of the packaging until you're ready for it. But when you got a few 10,000 of them, you tend not to care quite so much. Okay. I'll look forward to doing this under the microscope in future. ProScan tablet rec charging port, had to wire up a 1mm power jack to the USB. 1mm power jack, where do you get those from? And how common and standard are they? Because I'm up. Oh, g'day PB Henry. I'm up late. I was supposed to probably go to bed about an hour ago, but fixing things for you, the person fixing things for you over in Western Australia, who's about 2.5 hours behind me, he kept asking me if I was going to do a stream, and finally I relented and said fine, and I'm not sure if he's here. Oh, there he is. Haha. Yeah, just just cursing at you, fixing things for you. Hey, did you get that 5S working, or is it a dud? Oh, that's right, you need the PMIC for it. Sorry. Oh, this is really ticking me off. What I should have done with this board before I started using it is scrub it down properly. Oh, what's your project, CryJ2000, sorry? What project is that? Because I was noticing you were a little bit absent. I just thought you might have got sick of watching all the streams. Oh, this is terrible. I'll be very lucky if this works. Ten nanofarad, 1 microfarad. Oh, good. I will check my messenger. Thank you very much. I will do that after I've done this. Can you believe it? You actually convinced me to set up the workshop camera gear. This is rather temporary, though, I must say. Oh, come on, Paul. Put on the smaller one first. 10 nanofarad. I don't mind doing hand placement like this for one-off prototypes, but I gotta tell you, I would not like to do this on a daily basis. Hell no. When I first started producing commercial electronics for the model aircraft market, there was a project I did which was called the normalizer. If you search for Paul Daniels and LiPo normalizer, you should probably find it. Anyway, I did all those by hand, but what the most hilarious thing about it all is in the end there was a fault in the design, and yet the damn thing still worked, and they shouldn't really have. It was only by pure luck that I happened to pick up a batch of transistors for it which had just the right properties to make it still work. Re-imaging 30 laptops for lend into another. Oh yeah, oh yours. Ugh. Yeah, that's a bit drive you insane-ish. I predict 150 subs till end of year, and even a bit. Yeah, it's a pity I can't get a bit closer for the view. I can try, but it's probably going to fall over. I'm really not keen on it doing that. Like, this is it here, and in the past I have fiddled around, and yeah, it falls over. So how are you going to do the imaging of the 30? You're just going to like take a clone of one and then duplicate it across? Oh man, what am I doing here? 1K is installed. I don't have any 100Ks. I don't have 100Ks on hand, and I don't want to walk to the other room. So I'm going to use 200Ks because that's the right thing to do. That's the wrong tweezers. Okay, I've done you, I've done you. I've done you, I've done you. What the flip? I've got a 10 nanofarad capacitor and it's going to sit on a 1206 pad? What sort of lunatic was I? That's a 0603 at best. Idiot. I am going to guess that was a design just, yeah, didn't update the value. Whoops. Okay, time to put in the protection diode. Oh, naturally out of those too. What about you? Yeah, you're too big. You guys look about right. This is definitely one thing that I like about having an electronics background, is that when it comes to fixing laptops and things like that, you can look at what's broken and make a judgment call and sort of go, I can get away with doing this instead. And they can save you, I mean, ideally you better have donor boards, but anyway, people die. Come on, you piece of junk solder. That's it. This is a really shoddy job. Well. Now, you and you. What are you? Oh, you're the 100Kers that I don't have. So like right now I am struggling to keep my 0603s under control just with free vision. Oh well. These things happen. You get old, your vision drops. So, and you spend more money on glasses. Oh yeah, the fixing things, the hot air station, which was, you'll recognise the brand, was from J-Car. It was a Digitech one, I think. I got it a long time ago, back when people didn't really do hot air much. And a couple of months ago, or about 6-7 months ago, it started playing up. I couldn't adjust the air on it, so I thought, oh, that's fine, I'll just crack it open and see what I can do to fix it. And I was terrified by what I saw. It was, I've got a 250, yeah, I'm going to turn off this for a second. I got to get a remote switch for that too. Just one of those little DC. Um, you get them on a cord, the little DC switches with the sockets on either end. We have a server. Oh, that's useful. Yep. You're from the future. That's powerful. Yeah. Anyway, so this board comes in, and I open up the hot air station. Just sort of thinking nothing major, but this thing had looked like it been out of a. It looked like it'd come from. I don't really know what broken hot air systems, goodness knows, but it had bodge wires, and I mean real bodge wires. There were broken resistors, like 1 mega resistors or whatever, and the leads had snapped clean out of the body of the resistor, and so they just left that there, and they just bodge wired to somewhere else. It was like it'd come out of some thermostat control board or contraption, and they just modified it to do what they wanted. So, needless to say, that didn't stay around here very long, and that's when I ended up picking up the new hot air station. So what is this? The Tenma 852 or something like that. It's a clone of the ones that Chris Long uses and Jason from STS. So do you have a formal education, or have you worked a lot with electronics? Let's see, how do I answer that one? I'd started electronics at a young age, around about, I think it was about 7 or something like that. One of my uncles, he was into it, and he gave me one of those 101 kits or something like that you used to get from Radio Shack. Excuse me. So that got me started, and then the usual sort of radio type kits. I went a little bit quiet for a couple of years, and then the local Australian electronics fellow called Dick Smith, he started producing a lot of kits as well, so I just ate through those. And at that stage I was at high school, so things went a bit quiet, and when I finished high school I went off to university to do electronics engineering and computer systems. So I picked up a lot there, but I got to admit I probably picked up a lot more in terms of the practical side of things just by running my own manufacturing design business. Like, people would come to me and say, look, we need a device that can do this or this. One of the more interesting ones was a remote release collar for dingoes down in Fraser Island, and we had to have it that they could be remotely detached, and we were using radio control servos to do the lock mechanisms. So we had it so they could be detached using radio, but if after, say, 2 years no one had detached it, it would then have to do it itself, just simply to stop the animal being stuck with this collar forever. The difficult part on that was trying to get the power consumption under control, because you've got this lithium dry type battery, and you had to hope that would last for 2 years while you were constantly listening out for a radio signal and had a high current servo ready to go on it. It ended up being a successful project. It was quite a fun one. We had another one where we needed to be able to control remote cameras in a dingo den, so that was also an interesting process. Let's see, what have we got here on chat? Don't laugh, but I need a bigger hard drive. Oh no, I've lost my chat off the window. I haven't got my Windows all set up properly here, as in my Windows, not Microsoft Windows. Go to sleep, Paul. No, I can't go to sleep. It's holy crap. No, that can't be right. It's telling me it's 2:45 in the morning. Is that real? I hope not. Micro SD card in my Pi web server. Yeah, I've got to say those Raspberry Pis are quite neat. I need to get a Pi 3. I've got a Pi 2 at the moment. It's not quite fast enough for what I'm wanting to do. First time stream, not new. Oh, g'day, Playman. 2:45 a.m. So Amy, what do you do mostly? I mean, you obviously do a lot with the power supplies and whatnot. Speaking of which, I ended up, I've got to work out that one that was squealing way back in an older video. You could hear the squealing, I couldn't. A few other people could. I managed to get my hands back on that one, and I wanted to go and see what the squealing was, but without being able to hear it, yeah, it's a bit tricky for me. G Hill, working on my degree now. I can definitely tell the difference between those who have messed with stuff beforehand and those just wanting to get the degree. Yeah, funnily enough, people who just want to get the degree, they often do get the degree if they can manage to keep the whole, just enough learning to keep them afloat. And they just slug away at it and they walk out with a degree 4 years later. I find it a lot harder to get those qualifications on paper when you're more of an inspirational type worker, or you like to run around and research things on your own and things like that, because you get distracted by that and you want to focus on a particular project and you just expend way too much energy on it, and then all the drudgery of the other stuff that comes with university, it drags you down, and by the time you're up 4th year heading into 5th year and you still haven't finished up your degree, you start questioning what you're doing there, and usually you'd end up talking to your dean, and the dean sort of goes, just go out there and try work for a couple of years and see how you go. Right, the 3 is amazing. So CryJ 2000, I would run the I think it was the noob distribution on the 3, on the 2, and it was pretty good, but it was probably a little bit slow for let's see, it was probably a little bit slow for what I was trying to do, but so I'll be curious to see what the 3 is like. My elbow keeps getting in the shot there, and I don't like that. Let's see. I've always felt I need to get rid of that E in my name. Mark Dazelle. Oh, Mark Dazelle. No, Mark is somewhat, I'm assuming Mark is how you pronounce it. Makes it quite interesting. Squealing PSUs most likely. Yeah. With this particular squealing one, fixing things, it's a different squeal. It's not the usual coil squeal. It's something else that Amy picked it up and she told me, and I've naturally forgotten. You do everything, Amy. I just do everything. Power supplies, computer, TVs, LCDs. Oh, and tablets, of course, yes. I have Hum, by the way. Yeah, that's probably... The cabling in this house terrifies me. I've been up in the ceiling and there is just looms of cable. I'm not talking the normal loose sort of looms that you have up there for some electrician to be able to pull a little bit of extra length. I'm talking like spools left up there, and they're live. So they're creating some sort of crazy eddy currents up there, if nothing else. I swear my electricity bills are not helped one bit by the wiring in this house. I'm consuming on daily average around about 45 to 50 kilowatt hour, which is way over the top for a 2-person household. So the air conditioners don't help, but that's still way over the top. Headless configuration of Jesse, like I says, Debian, whatever you want to call it. Have I tried to land a job with some Linux company like Red Hat, or do I prefer to work on my own? I definitely prefer to work on my own. I always have. Right from leaving school, as soon as I left school, I already had a job with the school to do work for them in their physics department. They needed some electronics gadgets for demonstrating principles of resonance and whatnot. So right from the start, I then started doing software development for vertical markets, such as specific clubs and things like that. That's where I picked up a lot of my main programming work. So yeah, it's always been mostly working for myself. Even when I was working for large companies, such as when I was over in South Africa, I was still contracting, so I had my independence. It There was only a short time, maybe 2 years, 2.5 years, that I worked in running a tech department, repair department for a local upstart company in the town that I was in. Happy to say they're still running and they're very well established now in that town. See you on radio. What? See you on radio? On radio? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Annex. Have you tried? What do I think about Microsoft's fusion with Linux? I think it's a case of they really don't have much choice. It was a classic sort of first you laugh at them, then you deride them, all sequences, and then eventually you join in with them. And I think Microsoft, wow, that camera is really picking up my elbow no matter where I turn. There we go. No elbow, thank God, finally. So I think Microsoft had to end up embracing it because Linux was taking up so much of the server space and the user device space, so it was a case of do or die. But as for that rumble, yeah, I'm not sure. It could even be this light, maybe. Let's switch that off. It's funny how these cameras do a pretty good job on the low light. I'm quite impressed. All I've got there now is a 12-watt LED lamp. It's a warm one, like 3000 Kelvin, whatever it is, 2.5 or 3000 Kelvin. And that's it. It's doing a good job. Microsoft has penis envy. Michael from Melbourne. I always say, stay up late, fix crap. Yeah. So Michael, I'm guessing. So I'm going to assume that's Chinese because it definitely doesn't look Japanese, and it's certainly not Korean that I can assume. So I'm going to assume that's a Chinese name ID. You watch, I'm going to be completely wrong. It's probably, yeah. It's a lot more intricate than what I normally see in Japanese. I'm trying to. There are some bits in there that I think. No, I'm not even going to try and understand it. I see a penguin in there and a broken 7. I'm making a mockery of stuff. Enough talking. Yeah, I think I'm done because I have to find some. Maybe I can find those P-channel MOSFETs. Do I have my MOSFET box in here? What have I got? No. Memory sensors, more useless resistors. We got microcontrollers. No. And I don't have my regulator. I don't know what I've done with my MCP 1702 5-volt regulators. It is Chinese. Oh, hallelujah. I didn't make a complete fool of myself. Thank you. So I'm going to have to check and see what the real time is. And hilariously, I've got my window. I've got dual screens here. But I've got them incorrectly set up on the laptop, and so they're crossed over. So as I try to move the mouse from one side, I go to. Oh, well, that's. I'm just going to bring up Firefox. Time in Brisbane, even though I'm not in Brisbane. What? That's ridiculous. Normally when you ask for time, like time in New York or whatever, it tells you straight away. Try Sydney. Okay, it is 2:56 a.m. I'm in big trouble. 3 a.m. Oh no, I am going to suffer in the morning, particularly because I'm probably going to wake up at about 8:30, and I will likely stumble through the house, grab my headphones, not these ones, another set, turn on YouTube and Lewis or how is life in Australia? Is it hard to come there and start from the beginning? How's the law? The laws are pretty good. They're overall it's a bit more laid back than say America or Europe. Um, it is more casual, but yeah, I guess every place has it. The only trouble with Australia is it's actually quite expensive to get started. Uh, Property in particular is extremely expensive here, so you have probably more chance somewhere in one of the middle zones of the United States than you have here in Australia. CryJ2000 said it was 3 a.m. Yeah, I just wasn't sure whether it was in this particular time zone. He thinks we were trolling him. Yeah, I don't anymore, believe me. I had a cup of coffee at around about 10 o'clock, and yeah, it's probably carried me through, which means it's going to run out in about half an hour and I'm going to crash. Alright, I better turn off my soldering station. I need to get another soldering station as well. That one is great for if you've got a whopping great big cable. It's a full 100 watts. Where's my other one? I have another one called a Goot RX711, and that was good for, I should have been using it for this work, but I was too lazy to switch over. But it's not good enough for doing the microscopic work on like MacBooks and things, iPhones. So I need to now go out and also get a Hacko 951 or whatever. So more expenses. How many spiders you killed today at home? None today. As a general rule, I try not to kill spiders, though the little daddy long leg ones, or whatever you want to call them, they do get sucked up in the vacuum cleaner if I vacuum, which I don't very often. But big ones like trapdoor spiders, huntsmans, wolf spiders, things like that, I leave them alone. They do a good job around here. TCRS, and you've got the end of it, unfortunately, because it's 3 a.m. here and I need to go to bed. So, yeah. And no microscope here still. I don't know why. Maybe if I buy one, I might get here. Ingestion. So, I can't imagine that's going to be good. I appreciate you guys coming in. Sorry for the troubles at the start. Sorry we didn't get finished on the board. It was probably a bit late for me to get started, and I should have had all the parts in advance, but I was sort of cutting it close for time and I wanted to get things going. So that's the way the cookie crumbles. Sleep on camera, no thanks, that'll be a bad idea. It was lag. Anyone see it? Oh, what lag are we talking about? Oh, speaking of which, is the audio matching up with my lips, or am I out of sync? We love you. If you love cats or dogs or other animals, then I'm going with that. I had a Brisbane time set up, I would know when you're about. Oh, you're stalking me, CryJ. Oh, well, that's always good. 1 minute lag, very slightly out of audio sync. Okay, well, thanks for that, Leslie. It's the new laptop I'm using. This is the one that had lemonade spilt on it, which I managed to work out a deal with the client, and so I got to keep it. It's got the i5 5th generation 5200, I think it is 5200. It has no keyboard in it. It's got no DVD drive. One of the RAM slots don't work, and there may be other issues with it, but tonight was its first hardcore run, and I'm sitting on 47%, and I'm encoding at about 3000 kilobit. I've got no drop frames, so I'm pretty happy about that, which means my broadband's doing its job too. I did use this machine the other night for encoding some videos, and what I do is I edit the video on my G3420 machine, but then I secure shell through to this one, and I share the I can attach to the folders that has all the media that I need, and then I just run the batch I run the edited file through this, and it chews through it at about, I think it's about 150% of real time. So a 15-minute video takes about 10 minutes to encode, so I'm quite happy with that. Livestream stalking, yes, definitely livestream stalking. Alex, I'm with you there. I like animals far more than I like people, particularly in this town. It's people sort of think there's country town and the country people are wholesome and all that, and that's true. There's country people, the nice ones, and then there's the sort of people that are out here because they don't want to be nabbed by the law and all sorts of things. So, and they're really ruffians, the rednecks, as you might call it. And so you have this odd duality of very nice people and then very not nice people. And in between, of course, you have the animals, which I will take over the humans any day. Ten drop. You did nothing to. You just get us here. I did work today. I think I did work today. I finished a video. I did that video with the how to. Oh no, that was last night. The one where I worked out how to install iPhone contacts back into a new iPhone without going through all the rigmarole. It was so easy in there, and you just put the composite vCard file onto a web server somewhere, send your iPhone to go look at it, that file, and boom, it imports it. Why couldn't they tell you that it was that easy? But no, they make you go all through the hard way. Alligators will take over one day. They're already doing a pretty good job of that around here. They're having to trap a few and relocate them. So if people are worrying about animals, I've got 3 cats. They're all rescue foster cats, and to protect them I have 8-foot fencing, mesh fencing all around the property, and it's specially angled in at the top so that they can run up the posts, but then they get there and they sort of they jump off again. They don't go outside. We keep them inside at night. Well, I should say after around about midnight we bring them in. We have security cameras all around and we watch them while they're outside, and we constantly, every 15 minutes, 20 minutes, we go out and we check to make sure they're okay as well. So, and of course I work here all the time, so they lead a pretty good life. They need to be watched carefully because there's a lot of people around here and a lot of other animals that will gladly attack them. Snakes are a big problem, unfortunately. We're constantly vigilantly watching out for those. Trollless full play. Oh, I swear I did some work. You can feel the ghosts outside in the dark in the small town. Yeah, this town has its good share of ghosts floating around, believe me. Freaky story. I probably shouldn't say this because I'm just about to go to bed. A couple of years ago I was lying in bed. It was at 2-3 in the morning. I'd been asleep for a bit and I woke up and it's all dark. I woke up and I thought something's going to switch the light on, and I got up out of bed and I'm racing around the bed, and before I can get around the bed the light switches on it by itself, and I get to the switch and I'm like flicking it up and down trying to turn it off. It will not turn off, and then I flick it off and leave it there, and eventually it turns off again. I go back to bed, and then about 2 minutes later it does it again, and I feel it again. I'm like, it's going to come back on, and sure enough. So I don't know, maybe the superstitious in me, really went wild for that one. But I have a feeling it probably was the switch, and it may have been arcing or something like that, and that's what woke me up and made me think it was going to turn on. But either way, spooky as hell. Killer koala drop bears, yes, they're fortunately we don't have them here. Instead we've got all the snakes, the spiders, the hot weather and everything else. Can the video be transferred to 1080? Too blurry. John, I thought I was actually transmitting in 1080. I do apologize. Let me just check that. There we go. Settings, stream, output, video. Yeah, it's currently. It should be set the base canvas. It says 1920 1080. The output scaled. Oh, would that be it? 1092 614. Maybe that was what went wrong. Is Kylie Minogue my neighbor? I wish. 480p. Oh, I'm sorry about that, folks. I actually genuinely thought that was 1080. So, unfortunately, I can't change it on the fly. Sorry about that. Next time. It's because I'm on a laptop screen. It only does whatever the 1366, 768 or whatever. The next time, I know you can change it so the Open Broadcaster does the full 1080, but I guess what I'm saying is I was misled by it. So for the next stream, I will set up a 24-inch 1080p screen here for me to watch the output. Oh well. So, okay, I'm off to bed. It's getting late. I do need to get up. I've got 2 phones to fix in the morning. They're just screen repairs, so it's nothing too important. But it is good to still do them without mistakes, because there's nothing more annoying than a dodgy screen repair coming back, and it's a pain because you know you're not making a lot of money on it. So, and a hard drive data recovery, and then cleaning up my workshop. I need to sort that out, and I've got to keep building this board because I need to make a video demonstrating certain reasons why sometimes when you have a short on your board you can't find that short. Even though it's a really hard short, you can't find it because you just can't find the heat source, and there's a reason for that, and I will demonstrate that once I've got my low ohms meter running. So Lewis bet there's an MCP that the MCP did on the board. No dead. Oh yes, I saw that. You mentioned your resistance was like 80k ohms, but then 40 or 50, but then you came back and said it was 120 or something like that. So oh well. 480. Yeah. All right. Okay then. I'll fix it up for the next stream. Sorry about that. Someone should have yelled out more, but I guess the audio was the bigger issue tonight. So until then, catch us later.